Right now, though, we have Minnesota Democratic Representative Angie Craig, who was close friends with the Minnesota House Speaker and her husband. And Congresswoman, I know you were with the Hortmans at that Minnesota House DFL event on Friday night. I send you my condolences. And how are you doing today?
Well, Alex, thank you for having me on. I think, we're all dealing with our own grief, personal devastation of having lost a friend and just a great human being in Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark. And of course, so grateful and have been praying that John Hoffman and his wife, Yvette, survive. And we're thankful that it looks like they have. But Minnesota, we're struggling right now, but we're coming together as a community and just having the opportunity to talk about Speaker Hortman, to celebrate her as a person, first and foremost, and a member of our community, but also the extraordinary leader that she's been for the state of Minnesota over the course of these several years. I'm so proud to have been her friend, but Minnesota's going to miss her leadership for sure.
Can you tell me about Melissa and Mark? I mean, I'm curious what you'd want people to know about your friends.
Well, look, Melissa and Mark were, truly great people. I know they worked within our community. I have heard story again about Gilbert, their golden retriever, from so many people over the last several days of just thinking about this unspeakable tragedy. She had a heart. They had a heart of service to our community. And I think that's what's so difficult for so many of us to understand is just, someone who was so committed to making our community, our state, our country a better place. In the last several days, Melissa and I had been texting back and forth. There's a project I'm working on at the national level, and we could only have a few state leaders involved in it. And I texted her that I'd like to sit down this next week and get her involved in this project. So, it's just heartbreaking for our community and for so many of us that really considered her a dear friend.
Have investigators been able to brief you at all on their search for the suspect? If you were watching just prior to our coming to talk to you, it would seem there's certainly activity there in Sibley County.
Yeah, I think for those of us, we've been briefed routinely, I guess, by Capitol Police over the course of the last couple of days. We've been kept abreast of the investigation. Certainly not anything that we didn't need to know, but with 70 plus additional lawmakers being targeted, of course, I was on the phone almost all day yesterday with state representatives and senators and other Minnesota leaders just to talk through, and especially those who are on that list. If there's anything that I can do, just, give me a call, let's talk. And at the end of the day, I think, until this man is apprehended, the level of anxiety is going to be pretty high here.
How did we get to this place of elected officials being violently targeted? And how do we begin to tone down the heated political rhetoric that we now see in this country?
Well, Alex, I unfortunately, for the last several years, have been part of a Congress where we've seen increased threats to our offices, our staffs, our families, and ourselves. I think the political rhetoric continues to rise, but it didn't start in the last 48 hours. It has been rising alongside the political divisions that you've seen really rise in our nation. And so we got here one thing at a time where we are not civil to each other anymore. You even sit in committee hearings. I sat all day in the Oversight Committee last week, and I think we really have to look introspectively at who we are as a country. Each member of Congress, an elected official, must think very carefully about the words that we use. And I don't think any member of Congress alone is going to solve this. We need the entirety of our communities to come together, both sides of the aisle, to say enough is enough. It's time that we get back to civil discourse. We're not going to put up with the lack of discourse on social media either. And at the end of the day, that's going to take a lot of local leaders, but we need faith leaders across our country. We need others, corporate leaders. We need entire communities to come together and say, we may disagree on policy, but we are just humans. And we're so proud to see the Minnesota delegation, Alex, come together yesterday. 4 Democrats and 4 Republicans are in this delegation, and we came together to speak as one voice. We need more of one voice in our country.
ABC News, to your point, reported in March last year a confidential DHS memo warning of an uptick to threats to high-profile public officials at their homes because they don't have as much security there. Are you and your family concerned for your safety going forward? Will you consider hiring private security?
Well, Alex, as I said, the security profile for members has been rising over the last several years. Members of Congress were allowed to take some funding and invest it in home security. Certainly, my family and I have taken advantage of that over the course of the last year and a half. And today, when I do town halls, we have private security there to wand everyone coming in. When I do public events, we have private security if it's a campaign-related event. And typically, if I'm in public now, we also notify our local police departments. And I can't tell you how extraordinarily grateful I am to every law enforcement department in the state of Minnesota right now, because they are doing an extraordinary job of seeking this murderer, as well as keeping our local officials safe, who also were on that list and targeted.
I know you are doing town halls today, but my question here looks ahead to tomorrow and at the point that you return to the Capitol. I'm curious if you think the mood is going to be different. And to your points about needing to have civil discourse, needing to speak respectfully to each other despite differences on policy, do you think something like this, tragic as it is, might help people to realize that it often does not matter what party you are a part of? It's just anybody from any angle can have a disgruntlement and want to take it out. So work together.
I'd like to think that this tragedy changes the course of our national conversation. But I think it's going to take more than just lawmakers doing it. The truth is that when you look at social media, there's a disincentive because, the more radical thing you say is the thing that gets the most traction on social media and gets you the most clicks. So I think, it's going to take more than just lawmakers, although, of course, we will encourage lawmakers to be much more disciplined. And at the end of the day, I think it's going to take all of us in our communities demanding it of all of our elected officials, and of course, just demanding it of ourselves. This isn't who we are, and it certainly isn't who we should be as a country. And I'm committed to doing my part to make sure that this terrible tragedy and murder of just an extraordinary Minnesota leader and her husband does not go without something changing in our country.
Democratic Congresswoman Angie Craig, I want to thank you so much for the thoughtful, the sobering conversation, and I wish you good luck getting through the day after the loss of your friend. Thank you.